How we doing, everyone? Welcome to another edition of FSI's NASCAR DFS Pick Show. I'm your host, TK Nation 47, joined with Mega Ruler 31. Going to be pretty self-explanatory for this one, Mega, but give us a little rundown of how yesterday's race went and what we can expect.
Well, yesterday's race was almost a shocker because Austin Hill dominated the race. He led a lot of laps, which added up, but not like as much as if it was like short track or anything. And if Sam Mayer didn't take him out, then that race would have finished with a lot of the top five cars staying in the top five. But we had maybe 6 or 7 restarts after that just kept on messing up and starting over. But it was pretty clear at that point, once the dominated fastest cars were out of it, that it was guys like Gregson and Allgaier and Allmendinger who understood how to race at a plate track and how to bump draft correctly and things like that, be able to get out front. The other thing that we learned is I did say, hey, you want to stack manufacturers. Well, the Toyotas took them all themselves out in one crash. So thanks, Ty Gibbs. But what ended up, I think it's going to be a little bit different here. And I did say, you want to like stack like all the Toyotas, or you want to stack like all, I think that still goes for like manufacturers here. But I think what you might want to do is like maybe take 4 like Toyotas and then like maybe 2 Chevys as one-offs or 2 Fords. Because if you think about it, I was thinking about this at the end of the race, you've got 2 lines usually going back and forth. And if all the Toyotas are lined up working together, and then there's another strong manufacturer working together, then you're not going to be able to capture the top 6 because 2 of the cars are probably going to be from another manufacturer. So that's another thought. And just the ground rules of plate racing, we're pretty much going to cross off the top 15 here. If you're playing FanDuel, consider them more because you really want to try and figure out who the race winner is, because there's more point value for that there and for laps finished. But on DK, we're looking for place differential here. Don't go your normal bankroll here because the outcomes, even though like on paper it looks like the perfect plan, there's so many variables that can happen. It's a high variable sport to begin with, and this is a high variable track. So the JJ Yaley could win this race. I
don't go that far, but yeah.
Like anything could happen. So track history is thrown out here. Don't put down as much as bankroll as you usually do. 10%, do like 5%, something like that. Stack some manufacturers and leave money on the table. My cash lineup has, I think, about $2,000 on the table left, and I have a GPP lineup that has about 10-20 grand. And a lot of people stack the back. So if you think you've got the magic formula, stacking like 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, and 39, there's going to be probably 40,000 people that duplicated that. So you're going to die. So a little differentiation there too.
Yeah, this is an interesting DraftKings slate year in, year out. It's going to be a lot of the duplicate lineups. We'll get into popular drivers, chalk for that matter, but I have to agree that is probably the probable strategy here. I do like mixing in maybe 1 or 2 flyers from inside the top 20. I think that's kind of that's kind of possible here. It's like one-off, driver inside the top 20 that kind of lasts through all the attrition, and he can find his way to the finish line. But let's get into it, Mega. Let's go picks by.
Let's just go rapid fire. I'm just going to.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Let's go rapid fire.
Belfast qualifier, Fade, not going to play him. Truex did well here qualifying, not going to play him. Hemrick, these Cully cars qualified well, not interested here. Suarez, same thing. Kyle Larson could win the race. If he does, I don't care. At 5th on FanDuel, I'll take him. On DK, not interested. Kurt Busch, been around for a while. Price isn't bad, but still starting too high. Denny Hamlin, people are going to flock to because they think, hey, you know what? He does really well on plate tracks. That's more Daytona than Talladega. Not interested. Byron, if you're doing 150 max, I consider him. Bubba has done well on plate tracks. He did win the Wayne shortened one, but we think that he would have won one of these eventually anyways. Leave him in the 150 max. If it's a 20 max, no. Reddick, same thing. He's had speed all year. Has done well at plate tracks.
He's had a win at Talladega,
right?
And the Xfinity Series.
and Childress dominated yesterday.
Yeah.
So leave him in your 150 max there. I think I'm as a fade, but I might just put him as a.
Yeah, I'd have him as a GPP play. Starting 10th, there's a little bit of place differential in case he finishes top 5. So I like Reddick, Bubba, and William Byron as well.
Okay. So looking at probably 11 through, let's do 15 here.
Sure.
So Haley has a win here, but I think he's a fade. He's starting way too far forward. If he was starting in the back, that's fine. Kyle Busch, way too volatile. I know he won last week. He's probably won play tracks before, but at this point, like, he's probably going to find a wreck. He seems to always do that.
That's not his. This isn't usually his best suited track, the super speedway. So
now I would consider Logano and Dylan. We saw Logano do really well in the 125. He's got wrecked in this new car and really didn't. He wrecked like 3 or 4 cars in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah,
but I think he's done better now. It's just figuring out how to block. If he figures that out and can stay out front and doesn't make a mistake, then that's good. There's a little bit of place differential upside here. Sure. And I think he'll have pretty low ownership. Dylan's another Childress car, so mildly interested here. I think, he can do good GPP lineup. Keselowski has done really well on this track, but just in his current form, I think he's going to have high ownership based on his history, but just based on his recent form, I think I'm out on that.
That's an interesting fade, and I think there's going to be a lot of chalk that we're going to play today just by default. And if Brad Keselowski at starting 15th at 8,900 is going to be a high ownership, I like the Colton fade in a GPP and hope that he has that current form instead of the long history of plate racing.
The next 3 could all win this, but I think they're still GPPs. They're not kind of in the cash range yet, but if you need one of them, but then again, I don't think salaries going to really matter in this, but Eric Jones has been fast all year. I could see him getting up there, does okay on plate tracks. Briscoe, same thing, and Cindric won Daytona. So I could definitely see him hooking up with Logano and Blaney, who's I have as a prime play, and getting up there in pack racing. So I think he makes a lot of sense in correlation. If you really like Logano and Blaney and think that the Fords are going to hook up and do really well here, and get out there and maybe lead some laps, then I think Cindric makes sense.
I was going to say that Cindric's going to be definitely involved in the Team Penske stacks today. He's had some bad form, but the Daytona win, this kind of feels like a get right spot for Cindric. So I think that's a great call. I like Chase Briscoe quite a bit here at 8,800 for a low owned GPP play, and sure, why not on Eric Jones. Next up we have Chastain, Dylan, and McDowell. I'm going to have to play some Chastain starting 19th. We're getting into that range now where place differential is starting to become a big factor in scoring, and I think Chastain, and I like Ty Dillon and McDowell, 2 value plays for maybe cash. I agree that they could be possible plays today. Dillon had a really good race last week. I think he's going to carry that over into today, and we know McDowell is a Daytona 500 winner, so this is kind of a comfort zone for him too.
Yeah, I think all of them are very safe plays. And I think they'll have like a little bit of lower ownership, even though I have highs next to them, just because they are starting up and people want to take some of these more guys. But I would rather take the quality of driver equipment and accomplishment in this higher 20 range than over like a BJ McLeod, JJ Yaley, Greg Biffle. They might have more place differential, but I don't know if their car is going to make it across the finish line. Like physically, it might have a breakdown in this like long race.
Yeah. Next up, we have probably the highest owned play on the slate, and that's Ryan Blaney, super speedway specialist, Team Penske, 10-5, the prime chalk.
So yeah, starting 22. I think Elliott's probably going to be even more. So he's going to be the highest owned one, but I think Blaney will definitely be up there.
Yeah, well, Blaney's going to be my highest owned driver today. So let's hope Blaney comes out with a win.
So now we have a nice little GPP range here. Yeah, teammates have been good on plate tracks. Almirola was like had awesome forms at Talladega, but recently he hasn't. I think he was like top 15 for like 5 races, and the last couple of ones he's been like 25 or worse, but he and Harvick, I think, are veterans, but I want him more in GPP than cash. Harrison Burton, like, I don't know what to do with him. Like, he was abysmal in Daytona. Like, he was the one like that ended up on his roof. And
I don't like Burton today. No.
I can't really fade him because he's in the range where you want to play him with the price, but
sure.
I think, you know, if he's GPP to fade for me.
He's risky today. Just a driver that doesn't look like he can handle this car yet. I don't think he's ready for the Cup Series.
Right.
I think he's going to eventually go back down to the Xfinity Series, and Wood Brothers was kind of shocking move from the Wood brothers to put him in that 21 car, and I don't think he has any upside today. So GPP. Here we go with Ricky Stenhouse.
Riley Herbst in it, like in a couple years, maybe.
Sure, yeah. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 2-time winner at Talladega. Yeah, gonna play Ricky today.
Yeah, I have him as a GPP just because he just seems he's so boom or bust. He's either going to win the race or he's going to finish 39.
Oh, for sure. But you're playing that upside for sure today. Yeah. Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott, 2 Hendrick drivers here, starting 27th and 28th. Yes. Yep. These high owned plays, but those are plays you're not going to want to miss. Now anything can happen in a plate race, but even if something does happen, these guys aren't going to lose that many points because of their starting position. So play them. Cole Custer, 56, 100, not bad price tag. I could see myself playing a little Cole Custer.
I like him because he's a Ford, and I see him getting up there and working with Harvick and Almirola, or maybe the Penske ones. Like, the Fords are all going to work together. The Toyotas are all going to work together, and just physically the body construction, the Toyotas can stack together, the Fords can stack together. The Chevys have issues with it just because of the way their fronts are designed. They don't lock aerodynamically very well. So I think that kind of his manufacturer and his starting position and his price give him a huge boost there.
Yeah, there's a lot of Fords in this price range, or in this starting range. So I think he's going to get out, maybe tail end of that longest Ford line that's going to try to move its way through the pack early on in the race. Next up, we have Chris Buescher at 6,900, starting 30th. Your thoughts?
I think he's one of my favorite plays here, especially in this price range. Starting 30th, he has done really well at plate tracks. He's aggressive, but he knows how to stay out of trouble. So I definitely think that he can get into the top 15.
Yep, I agree. Noah Gragson in the 62 for Beard Motorsports. His car only comes out usually for specialty tracks or super speedways. 5,400 is a decent price tag too. I'm going to have some Gregson.
Yeah, I mean, he won the race yesterday. He proved, even though it's a different series and there's more experienced drivers here, he understands the principles of plate racing. They actually, Wendy's is sponsoring this car, so this is
it's a like car.
It has a major sponsorship. It's a really good car. It has the same engines as the Childress, who dominated. There are so many things pointing to that this is a really, really good play. I debated him and Buescher. Buescher with more experience got the prime tag, but Gregson was in the conversation.
Love it. All right. Yeah. Next up, we have Todd Gillan, 6,200. Your thoughts on Gilly?
I think he's a really strong play here. I think his car is better than some of the downgraded ones. Again, he's a Ford, and I think he's got the same Custer principle that he will get in with the other manufacturer ones and get up there. And as long as Ricky Stenhouse doesn't take him out in that train, like Ty Gibbs took out the Toyotas, then we're fine. I think I like it.
No shock, Ty Gibbs, reason why everyone wrecked. All right, Todd Gillan is definitely involved in today's lineups. Corey LaJoie, I don't mind this play here. Corey LaJoie always seems to show up at the end inside that top 20 when it comes to super speedways. Kind of stays out of trouble throughout the whole race. Yeah, he's in the pool today.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of places touting him as like one of their favorite plays down here. I prefer Buescher and taking a shot on Gregson, but for the same price almost, but I can see it.
Yeah, same. Cody Ware, Greg Biffle.
Cody Ware, I marked him as cash play. He's he's like lime green here. He's almost GPP. I think with these Rick Ware cars, they usually hang out in the back, and then if chaos ensues, then unless they are the chaos, which happened like one plate race I'll never forget, where everybody stacked all the cars and then they just end up like wrecking each other. But I called it the Rick roll. But
Rick roll, yep.
But I think he's okay. He's not one of my favorite ones down here, but I think equipment wise, I think it bodes better now that all the cars are very similar. So I think he's okay.
Yeah, same. He's not going to be super slow like usual, but I don't know if his driving abilities is going to showcase itself like some of the other drivers back here. Biffle, I'm kind of unsure. I have no idea really what to do with Biffle.
Yeah,
today.
he's a GPP just because down here, but he's a GPP to a fade. Only because like we saw with this car at Daytona, it started last. It had problems all week. It had mechanical problems. It didn't even make it very far. He's a good driver. Be it older, like he like has tons of experience here. I think the dude's in his like 50s or so.
Sure.
But I just question the equipment if it breaks down, if it can make it through the full race, or even stay with the draft. So
right. David Reagan, I'm going to definitely play David Reagan today in that 15. Super Speedway specialist, only comes out for these races, and he is starting 36th.
I wish somebody else picked him up over like a Rick Ware. Like I wish he got a better ride.
Yeah. He's a guy that's going to stick around till the end, though. Always keeps his car clean and play races.
Like Childress, throw another car out there, or something like that. Get this guy in a good ride.
Yeah. I mean, if he was in like the Beard Motorsports car, for sure he'd be a challenge to win.
Oh, absolutely. Doesn't he do commentary for like most of the races when he's not?
I'm not sure.
I think I've seen him down at like pit road, like reporting.
Yeah, definitely like him. He's in the player pool today for sure. BJ McLeod, JJ Yaley, any love for these two?
Just for their starting position, they're going to need some attrition to actually matter here, because they're not going to move up on their own accord like a David Reagan is, or like a Buscher is, or some of those. So equipment is fair. They're going to hang out in the back, and just hopefully there's a bunch of wrecks, and then they make it up into the top like 25 if they avoided like the huge pileup. But the thing is these cars with these composite bodies aren't as, we saw some wrecks yesterday where we thought the cars would be done, but then they were back in it. So
hard bodies on these cars now kind of leaves them in the range of a spin out, tap in the wall, and maybe getting back out there after a couple laps. And you might go down a couple laps, but if cautions breed cautions like they do at super speedways, you can get back in the lead lap pretty easily here.
Yep.
Landon Castle starting last at 39th in the 77 Spire Motorsports vehicle.
I think he's gonna be like very, very chalky, because he can lose no points. Like he starts with a 2 to begin with, and there's no place to move but up. He's a decent driver. I mean, he's really moved up in Xfinity. He got like a top ride with Colleague this year, didn't he?
Yeah, and he's on Colleague. He's the 10 car. Yes, he's in the 77. It's not the best car, but there's no room for error here. He's not going to lose any points.
And these cars are all similar now. So like with parts, so like you have a parity car, and you've got a driver that actually raced this race yesterday. So these cars are completely different than Xfinity, but I think, he's a very safe play to throw in your cash lineup, because he can't lose you any points, and he can only go up.
I would say he's not a guy that I'm making sure I have in my lineup, but I can say that for sure, if I'm down here in like that 5K range after trying to stack as many of the 10K, 9K drivers, and if Landon Castle is one of my last 2 in, I think that's a fair lineup strategy.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to get like Blaney, Bowman, and Elliott, and the higher priced ones for the place differential in there, you're going to need some value like that.
Right. All right. Any final thoughts?
No, like I said, watch your bankroll. Don't go crazy on this. Put some money down. Enjoy it. Yesterday I put money on Riley Herbst to win it, and then I realized he just doesn't understand plate racing. He was consistently starting like 6, but could make no advancement. But for here, I think I might drop some money on Noah Gragson for this one. I wouldn't be surprised if
Long odds.
he goes back to back on this. The odds are good, and can make some $10 on it. I might win like a couple hundred. So.
Sure. Long odds. I love it. All right, guys, that'll wrap things up here for another edition of FSI's NASCAR DFS Pick Show. You can follow me on Twitter at TKNation47. That is at MegaRoller31. Follow us on Twitter at FSI_DFS. You can find a link in that bio to our Discord chat where you can get all of the projections, cores, live chat, anything you need for your help for your lineups today. So enjoy the race. Talladega, baby.
See ya.